It's Maggie, and today we're going to build a really simple REST API using Node.js. So let's say you want to build a website and you need some way to store customers in a database and access a full list of your customers. A simple REST API would be a great place to start. So first you're going to have to make a directory for your server. We can call it like Happy App. And then if I go in there, I'm just going to have to initialize it as a node server. You can just do npm init. It walks you through some things. For now, you can just press enter for all of them. You can change this later. This just initializes a very basic app. And the one thing to note is it says here that the entry point is index.js. So we're going to write all of our code in the file called index.js. So for the sake of time, I've already created a server file, and now I'll just walk you through the different parts of what you need. So we're going to be using a technology called Express. That's what's used for the communication aspect for your API. We're going to be using a technology called Body Parser, which is used to process data that's received. And we're going to use a technology called Mongoose, which is going to let us communicate to our database. And we're going to use MongoDB as our underlying database. So luckily, these technologies are really sophisticated. Basically, you just have to add them to your server. You can just copy and paste these lines of code, and they'll do a lot of work behind the scenes to get set up. Also, in terms of initialization, we have to define a port. It can be any about 4-digit number, so I just chose 1, 2, 3, 4, and then here you tell your application to listen there. And then in terms of connecting to your database, there's this great website called mLab. It lets you create databases for free, so you can just go to mlab.com, make an account, create a new database, just walk through the instructions there, and then once you've created it, it'll give you this URI, which is basically the link to your database, and you can just go ahead and copy and paste that into your server file right here. And yeah, that's basically all you have to do to connect to the database. And then next, you're going to want to define, what does a customer even look like? What types of data does it have? So let's say it just has a name, which is a string of characters, and then an age, which is a number. But you could add anything here. You could add its email, username, password, etc. So let's say the two things that you want to do are create a new customer and access all of the customers. To create a new customer, we're going to take advantage of this REST action called post, which means that the client is posting or sending data. So in that post, you're going to have to include the name of the customer as well as the age. But luckily, Mongoose is really simple, so all you have to do is just create a new customer object, send in the body of the request, which is what the data that the client is sending, and then you can just do customer.save, and Mongoose will do all of the behind-the-scenes saving. And then also similarly, if we want to get all of the customers instead of post, we're going to use an action called get. And then we're just going to access all of the documents. So using find, you can specify if you want all of the customers with age over X or whose names start with the letter C, for example. Here we're going to get all of them. So within these parameters, it's empty. And then we're going to send a list of all of the customers back. So we can do a quick test. So first we just have to turn on our server. So you can just do node index.js. That just turns on the server. You can ignore that warning. And then you can go to something like Postman, which just lets you test your API. So for example, if we want to do a post request, so localhost, because it's a local server, this is our port number, and then we specified that our endpoint would be customers. And then I'm going to say the name is Maggie, the age is 21, send it. I'll do another one, Sally, and she's 13, etc. So that'll let us send a lot of data using post, and then Also, we want to get a list of all the data. We can specify get, and look, I think I did this one before when I was testing it, but you can see we've got Maggie and Sally in our database. So I went through that really fast, but hopefully that gives you a really quick idea of how to create a simple REST API.